the popular Dasha is Vimshottari Dasha, and it is nakshatra based Dasha. First nakshatra is Ashwini nakshatra, which is ruled by Ketu. Ketu rules two more nakshatras, which is Magha and Mula nakshatra. Ashwini nakshatra falls in the Aries sign. It is the starting point of the zodiac. From Ashwini nakshatra, the zodiac starts, or the Aries sign starts in the zodiac. So the zodiac belt, Aries sign is taken as the starting point, or Ashwini nakshatra is taken as the starting point. So 13 degree 20 minutes is the angle of Ashwini nakshatra in the sky, and from after 13 degree 20 minutes it is Bharani nakshatra. Bharani nakshatra is ruled by Venus, and then there's Kritika nakshatra. So Kritika nakshatra falls, one pada of Kritika nakshatra falls in Aries sign, and the balance three padas falls in this Taurus sign. So when you're born, wherever moon is placed in the zodiac or in the chart, that nakshatra is the ruling, or the ruling planet of that nakshatra becomes the lord of the dasha that you get at birth, or the dasha of that planet is what you get when you're born.
Right.
How far moon has traveled, let's say from 0 degrees to 10 degrees in Ashwini nakshatra. Ashwini nakshatra is of 13 degree 20 minutes in Aries, and if moon is 10 degrees in Aries, so if moon is 10 degrees Aries, so that means it has crossed, or it has moved from 0 degrees Aries to 10 degrees out of 13 degree 20 minutes of the total period, or the total distance of a nakshatra. It has crossed 10 degrees. Now the balance is 3 degree 20 minutes in Ashwini nakshatra. You have to interpolate, or you have to take the proportion of the balance. So you would divide, let's say you would divide the period of 7 years, which is the period of the Ketu Dasha, by 13 degree 20 minutes. We can convert it to time. You can divide it, and you can multiply it by the balance degrees left that moon has to cover. So the balance of dasha that you get is the proportion of how much moon has traveled. If it is 0 degree, let's say 0 degree 1 minute in Aries sign, then you get the entire dasha of 7 years at birth.
Right.
But you would take in proportion how far moon has moved within the 13 degree 20 minutes, and whatever is the balance period in proportion to the 7 years period. And if it is crossed, let's say if it is crossed halfway, it is for 13 degree 20 minutes, halfway would be how much? 6 degree 40 minutes. If it has come 6 degree 40 minutes, you would get the balance of dasha when you're born, and the balance of dasha at birth is about 3.5 years that you get. Then you cross that, and the next in line. So it is falling in the sequence like Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini. So the sequence is, the first nakshatra is ruled by Ketu, second is ruled by Venus, third is ruled by Sun, fourth is ruled by Moon, fifth is ruled by Mars, sixth is ruled by Rahu, seventh is ruled by Jupiter, eighth is ruled by Saturn, and ninth nakshatra is ruled by Mercury. So from Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Mriksira, Ardra is by Rahu, Punarvasu is by Jupiter, Pushya is ruled by Saturn, then Ashlesha is ruled by Mercury. So this is these 9 nakshatras are one sequence of 9 planets, and then they repeat. So it completes till Ashlesha. It completes in the first 4 signs, starting from Aries, ending at Cancer. In the 4 signs, you get 9 nakshatras. So this is one portion of the zodiac. Then the second portion of the zodiac, the pattern repeats.
Right. So from Leo to Scorpio,
from Leo to Scorpio, it is Magha, Purva Falguni, Uttar Falguni, Hasta, Chitra, Swati, Vishakha, Anuradha, and then Jeshtha. So Jeshtha is ruled by Mercury again. So these 9 nakshatras. And then the pattern repeat for Mula, which is ruled by Ketu, Purva Shada, which is ruled by Venus, Uttara Shada, ruled by Sun, Shravana Nakshatra, ruled by Moon, Dhanishta, ruled by Mars, Sat Bhishaj, ruled by Rahu, Purva Bhadrapad, ruled by Jupiter, Uttar Bhadrapad, ruled by Saturn. Revati is the last nakshatra in the scheme of nakshatras, ruled by Mercury again.
Right.
So, whatever is your nakshatra of moon at birth, the ruling planet of that nakshatra is, you see which planet it is, and you see the distance covered in that particular nakshatra. How much distance moon has covered, and in the proportion, in the same proportion, like if it is Bharani nakshatra, and if you are talking about 13 degree 21 minutes, if we say 13 degree 21 minutes in Aries sign, you get the complete dasha of Venus at birth.
Right.
Yeah. So Bharani nakshatra starts at after 13 degree 20 minutes in Aries.
Right.
So it is 13 degree 20 minutes 5 seconds, let's say.
Yeah.
So that means now moon has moved to Bharani nakshatra, which is ruled by Venus, and somebody who's born in that at that time when moon was in Bharani nakshatra, he would get dasha of Venus.
Right.
Yeah. So this is clear. There's no
Yes.
confusion,
No.
and it is pretty simple also.
Yeah.
You want to calculate manually, you can calculate manually also. By you would divide the dasha period by 13 degree 20 minutes. Then you would multiply how much is the period left for the moon to cover in that nakshatra with whatever you've got.
Okay.
You can divide the dasha period, like you say 20 years. 20 years can be divided by 13 degree 20 minutes. There's a formula which is there in the book also. Since we are using the software, is that it is more for the understanding perspective.
Right.
That you
Okay.
should know what is happening. So
Right.
if we divide 20 years for Venus period by 13 degree 20 minutes, and if you convert 13 degree 20 minutes, you will get 800 minutes.
Okay.
So you can divide that period by 800 minutes, and you can multiply it by the balance which moon has to cover.
Right.
You would get in number of days the balanced dasha period.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
The first antardasha is of the planet itself,
Yes.
who's the Mahadasha Lord.
Right.
And it is divided in the same proportion.
Yeah.
Like how 120 years are divided,
Yeah.
all the 9 planets contribute to a dasha period of 120 years. So from that proportion, that if Venus is governing 20-year period in 120 years, the total dasha period is 120 years, and Venus is governing 20 years of that period, which is 1/6, of course. He would have the exact same proportion as the Antardasha Lord, correct? So Venus would have a bigger Antardasha always, no matter how long is the dasha Mahadasha period. Like if it is the 7-year period, 1/6 of it goes to Venus directly.
Right. Yeah.
Correct? And in the same proportion. What is the Mahadasha period of a planet? Like Ketu rules 7 years in 120 years. Mars rules 7 years in 120 years. Moon rules 10 years in 120 years.
Right.
In that proportion only.
Right.
So it is simple maths.
Right.
You have to take that period in the proportion of the Mahadasha period that they have.
Yeah.
So out of the total period of 120 years, Rahu rules 18 years.
Right.
So you have to take that proportion only.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that proportion, you take out the Antardasha period.
Yeah.
So from where it is starting, and then the cycle kind of moves on. And if somebody lives more than 120 years, he gets back to the dasha he was born in, which is pretty difficult for somebody to get. And
There's some yogis who did. No.
probably yes. You never know.
Yeah.
So what are we concerned here with? We are concerned about the result that we are going to get. Yeah. And it is only for reference that we are talking about what dasha periods are and how you calculate these dasha periods, in case you understand it, or if you want an answer that how they are giving you this period.
Yeah.
When you see that in the software. So similarly, that if you see a period of 20 years of Venus, and then you see Venus's Antardasha in that period, which would be 1/6 of that period.
Right.
Yeah. In the Antardasha of Venus, now there are Pratyantar Dashas.
Yeah.
You can call sub period.
Right.
So Antardasha is a sub period, Mahadasha is the main period that somebody is running through. Then there's Antardasha of any planet, which comes in the same sequence, which is the first Antardasha is of the planet who is the Mahadasha Lord. So the planet who's ruling the Mahadasha, first Antardasha would be of the planet. And then in the same sequence, like first was Ketu, second was Venus, third was Sun. So the next Antardasha would be of Sun, and Ketu's Antardasha would be last. So
Right.
Sun's Venus's Mahadasha would end with
Yeah,
Ketu
yeah.
Dasha.
Right.
All right. And similarly, with the same concept and similar proportion, you would get the Pratyantar Dasha among the
Yeah.
Antardasha.
Right.
The first Pratyantar Dasha would be of the Antardasha Lord.
Right.
And then the other planets, Dasha, or the period of the other planets, fall in sequence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then sub period,
Mm-hmm.
and in the same sequence.
Right. Uh-huh.
So you can go up to then there's but Pratyantar Dasha is a period of about 2-3 months. Bigger the planets with a longer Dasha period has 5-6 months also in a big planets ruling a smaller Dasha period like Ketu or Mars, they have a smaller Pratyantar Dasha period like couple of months.
Right.
But the proportion is same.
Uh-huh.
So if you get an Antardasha of 2 years, the Pratyantar Dasha of the planets would be in the same sequence as they are ruling the Mahadasha periods in the 120-year scheme, in the same proportion. And then the Pran Dasha also, there also you will calculate the first Pran Dasha would be of the planet ruling the Pratyantar Dasha, and then the other planets will fall in sequence in the same proportion, and then for the Sukshma Dasha also. So we would discuss till the Pratyantar Dasha only. Then if you want, we can always discuss further, but we'll look at the major period and discuss the major period. So this is how you get the Dasha periods. Now what happens in the Dasha period? And this is the dynamic system of astrology, that when you are reading a birth chart, a static birth chart, which houses are good, what is happening in a person's life, like this lord goes there, this is happening, this lord goes there, this is happening, this planet sits here, this is happening. One way of reading a static chart is by reading the planet in question, like a particular planet. Like if Saturn sits here, obviously it is a malefic planet, it will give you some kind of problems from that area. So that is one way of reading a chart, by the nature of the planet. One way is to read a static chart is by the lordship of that planet. A planet whose lord of some house comes and sit in some house, what should be the effect? So that happens in the overall life, or the person's nature or person's relationship. 11th house has like the 8th lord, so there are problems with the elder brother, let's say, or the 12th lord comes and sits in the 10th house, so there are changes in the professions very often, or there are problems in the profession, or there are because there's the planet of losses comes and sits in the 10th house, so there are frequent changes in the profession. So that is the way you read the static chart. Now the Dasha system is the dynamic system, and the period changes. At one given point of time, a particular planet is ruling. After that period, the another planet is ruling. So if you understand it this way, that a Mahadasha has a longer period. So Mahadasha Lord is a very important planet because he has a purpose. And will he achieve the purpose or not depends on the strength of the planet. How well it is placed in the chart. If the planet has strength, exalted or Mool Trikon, it would achieve the purpose that it has. The purpose depends on two things. One, the lordship and the placement of the planet. Basically the role of the planet it has received in a chart, and where it is. So that is one purpose the planet has. Other is the natural signification of the planet. So these are the two purposes a Mahadasha Lord has to achieve. Basically through you only, that it would drive the native in such a way that when it leaves you at, or makes you a person like that he wanted you to be. So one is the role in the chart, which is a more important one, of course. And the other is the natural signification of the planet, or the natural nature of the planet. When you say the role of the planet in the chart, which means the signs, or the signs it is ruling, where the signs are falling in the chart, which gives it the lordship of the house. So those houses becomes important for that planet, and where it is placed becomes important. Yeah. So that is one thing, and the other is the inherent nature of the planet, what it wants to give you naturally. So these are the two things that it achieves in a span. So a planet has a period, let's say a planet like Jupiter has 16-year period. It gives you enough space to maneuver. And you would probably not even realize during the Dasha period of 16 years that where it is taking you.
Right.
You are more affected by the Antardashas that are falling in. Antardashas are kind of giving you a more prominent result.
Right.
Mahadasha's result you probably would not feel so much because it has a longer period to maneuver. It is like a highway that you've taken. You think that it is going straight, although there's a curve and it leaves you somewhere else. No sharp turns. And because there are no sharp turns, you are not at stress while you're driving. It is a highway which is taking you somewhere, and you think that you are going straight, but there's a curve and it is leading you somewhere, which you don't realize. The Antardasha is the sharp turn that you're taking.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Pratyantar Dashas are the ones that are troubling you more during that Antardasha period. So mostly people will come to you because of the Antardasha problem. As an astrologer, people will come to you more because of the Antardasha and not because of the Mahadasha. Antardasha is a shorter period, and because of the shorter period of probably a year or 1.5 year or 2 year period, it is kind of acting a little bit faster. So when a Antardasha changes, a lot changes in a person's life. There are changes, there are visible changes that you see. Yeah, one day you were doing this, and the Antardasha ended, and probably a couple of days before the other one starts, or a couple of days after the other dasha started, you kind of transform and start doing something else. Like you get a dasha of, let's say, you were running through a dasha of a sixth lord, let's say, and you were in a job or probably doing something, and immediately after that you get a dasha of the fifth lord. So now you want to probably get into either learning line, or you have a feeling that I want to start some new venture where I could teach, or where I should study or I should teach. That would be in your mind, or depending on the planet, if you want to do some creative work, or there are some creative interests, or probably you'll leave the job and start doing something else, because by the sixth lordship you see the job also, and fifth lord is negating the sixth. If it is sitting in the fifth, making the fifth stronger, it will make sure that you leave that job and start something else of your interest. So Antardasha period are like the prominent periods, the prominent changes every now and then that you see in your life. And then Pratyantar Dasha periods are the sub periods which kind of either trouble you or are easier. For 3-4 months your life is comparatively easier, or for 3-4 months then your life becomes a little difficult, or there are difficult situations. And Mahadasha would not make you feel so many changes. Antardasha would kind of change the horizon, and Pratyantar Dasha is what you're feeling currently, or how your life is going currently. You're happy, you're not so happy, and all that. So if somebody has come to you, he has come to you because of the Antardasha, that he's been facing the problems for quite some time, and then the exact reason of his coming to you would be seen by the Pratyantar Dasha he's running through. Like let's say if somebody comes to you in a period of a Pratyantar Dasha period of the fourth lord, let's say, and he is stressed, and he comes to you, and you see the placement also that the fourth lord's Pratyantar Dasha is running, and he is not so well placed. There could be a reason that he comes to you for a property dispute, or there's a lot of stress at home. Suddenly there's distress at home, or home environment. Or if you look at the entire chart and you see that what would be happening, you'll get a feeling that why he's come to you, and you can amaze some people by telling them that why they've come to you, showing the chart. And it is pretty simple though, and it could fit, and most of the time it fits. That you look at the Pratyantar Dasha period, Lord, and there's one more secret, that you see the current transit of that period.
Okay.
That where it is placed currently.
Right.
with respect to your chart.
Yeah.
So transit is like what is the movement happening now of the planets? Which planet is now where? You have to see how a planet is placed, and it is an important thing. A Mahadasha is an important thing because it is going to set a course of your life for that period. You would not even realize that where your life is going, but you are kind of driven by the Mahadasha Lord. How good it is, how afflicted it is, how well placed it is in the chart, how badly placed it is in the chart, is setting that course of your life or course of your life for that period. And by the time it leaves you somewhere, from there, even the other, when the other planet starts, it will start from that point, right? Whether it is up here or whether it is down here, the other planet will start from somewhere, no? So it is very important to realize that where the Mahadasha Lord would take you, and you have to do some lifestyle changes in your life, or start doing some remedies, or behave in the way the Mahadasha Lords want you to do it, so that you face lesser problem and you kind of make the most of the period that you're going through, no matter if it is a good planet's period or a bad planet's period. If you can dance to the tune of the planet, you can make the most of the period, right? That is how you see an Adasha. First and foremost thing to see in a chart, if the Mahadasha Lord is forming a yoga or not.
Okay.
If it is a good planet of the chart, like 159, Lords of 159 are good planets of the chart. If Mahadasha Lord is making a yoga in the chart, if it is making a yoga or a yoga in a chart, that means it is a special dasha.
Right.
You have to utilize the houses it is ruling and the house it is placed to make sure that the planet is satisfied, because every placement has some meaning to it. You see, you've got a chart and it is not by choice. You see, it is by probably God's will that you've got a particular chart that the planet's placed differently. You have to find a way that what is it that your chart is telling you to do, and know the purpose. Knowing a purpose is kind of derived by understanding a chart in detail, that what planets are placed where, why somebody is born, what could be the purpose of this person to born. So a Mahadasha Lord would take you somewhere, of course. He wants to take you somewhere. If you're resisting, then you'll face a lot of problems in your life. And if you are ready to move as per the planet's requirement, life becomes far more easier and comfortable. So this is how you see that what is happening during the Mahadasha. And the first and foremost thing that you see, if it is a special dasha, if it is the dasha of a planet who is making a yoga, that dasha could give you a lot of good things.
Yeah. So Rahu and Ketu can't form yogas, or
they can form yoga.
Okay.
They can also form yoga. So we have not gone through yogas though. We will do a class on yogas also. Yeah. With Rahu and Ketu, what happens is they become the lord of the house they are sitting in.
Okay. Yeah.
So if Rahu is sitting in the 5th house and 4th lord also comes and sits there.
Okay.
In the dasha of Rahu, it can give you excellent results, because this is becoming a Raj Yoga. 4th lord and 5th lord, Kendra Lord and Trikona Lord, makes a Raj Yoga.
Yeah.
So it is, in a way, you can also see that Rahu has to give results of its dispositor. It has to give the result of the lord of the sign he is sitting in. So it also behaves like the lord of that house. And Rahu can, although it is afflicting in the static chart, you will see that it is afflicting, but during the dasha, it would give a Raj Yoga during its dasha.
Okay.
Rahu is said to be well placed in the houses 3, 6, 10 and 11, which are Upchya Bhavas. In Upchya Bhavas, Rahu is said to be well placed, or that means that it is kind of a special placement for Rahu. Rahu works well there. But even if it is sitting in the Trikona or the Kendra house, getting conjunct with either the Kendra or the Trikona house, it can make a Raj Yoga. Or, yes. So you have to, the first thing that you see is that if a planet is making a yoga, if it is making a yoga, it is a special dasha. You have to utilize it. You have to prepare yourself for it. It is not that you're sitting at home or sleeping in the bed and you would get the crown on your head just like that. Somebody would ring the bell and say, take your crown. You're the king. You have to prepare yourself and make the most of that period.
Yeah.
If you're running through a Raj Yog Dasha, it could be that you're not doing anything, but all your expenses are taken care of. That is one way of living.
Right.
If somebody is feeding you, that is okay. Because of the Raj Yog Dasha, you kind of taken care of well. But unless you move out and do something, you would not be able to achieve the greatness, you see.
Okay.
Even for all the avatars, all the gods, or who we talk about, who were born on earth, even though we know that they were avatars, even though we know that they were special, but it was never that they did nothing by themselves and achieved greatness. They had to go through the grind. They had to go through all the troubles that somebody has to go through to achieve that greatness. It is there that they would do it. Of course, they are born to do something, but it is not that they'll sleep and they'll still be called a god. They'll have to struggle from Christ to any Indian god that we talk about, like Lord Rama or Krishna or anybody that they were born. There's a period that we speak about their childhood, that what all they did, then the schooling that they did in the Gurukul, and then the process, the various difficulties that they came through in life. And because of the way they dealt with the problems in their life is what made them God or worthy of being called a god. Yeah. So even for them, it is not an easy thing. Like Buddha had to sit for 6 years to achieve nirvana or God consciousness. So he was born in in a palace. He was a prince. He was about to become a king. He just realized someday, out of some pain gives transformation. So that is why 8th house is taken for transformation, because generally in comfortable life, people don't transform. So because of some emotional pain, he left his house, left the palace, lived in the jungles, lived like a beggar, surviving on what people were giving him as a charity or donation, leaving everything else, and then struggling for 6 years. And struggling for 6 years is not a joke. It is not a small period for somebody sitting under a tree for 6 years, or living in the jungle, surviving in the jungle, just trying to meditate and getting into that zone, and trying, and just one day it clicked for him and he achieved nirvana. So, but the process that he went through, he had to go through. No matter if he's called an avatar in Hindu mythology, also it is called an avatar only. He's called an avatar only in Hindu mythology. But even the avatars that we know, they had to go through the process and through the laws of the nature. Nobody can say that sleeping at home somebody became God, and because he was God, he was given the respect of being a god. So that is what it teaches us, you see. No matter how great a yoga you have in the chart, unless you do something about it, it would not give you result. That is one thing to see when you're looking at a chart, that if the planet is participating in a yoga, or if it is a negative planet of a chart, both becomes important. Because the planet, the Trishadaya lord of the chart, they are going to give you troubles. But situations in the life would be such that 11th lord would not give you money problems, you see. 11th lord would give you problems beyond the problems that are solved by money or caused by finance. It could give you relationship problems. It could give you emotional problems. It could give you health related problems. Similar for the 6th. 3rd lord would give you challenges in life that you have to show courage, and you would show courage only in the difficult situation. Otherwise, why would you show courage? So it is also seen as a bad house. It is 8th from 8. It is the higher octave of the 8th house. So they kind of give you troubles. 8th Dasha of the 8th lord could give you transformation. Now, transformation would not come to you just like that one day you'll get up in the morning and you're transformed into some other person. It will take you through a process, a painful process, of course. Anything that requires change is not as easy and is obviously very painful. Using them the right way is more important. A Dasha of the 12th lord can cause obviously losses. Dasha of the 12th lord can cause isolation. It talks about the hidden enemies. It talks about the isolation, or living alone, or moving to some other place. It talks about the changes that you need to have. So if you welcome all that, you can live all right during that. If you are resisting, you would obviously face problems. So in the Mahadasha period of 12th lord, if you know and if you think if you can go somewhere away from your homeland, it will kind of align by itself. Or if you start living in isolation, it will kind of align itself. Or it will make situations that you'll have to do something of that kind, that you have to bring some changes in your life. Yeah, so that is how you see it, and that is how you kind of predict and align yourself according to the dasha. That is more important is the antardasha, because people go through pain and suffering in the antardashas.
Yeah.